Hey, Determined Destiny family. This is Coach Kevin coming back at you with another video for the Determined Destiny family. Hope that you guys are enjoying the videos that we've been putting out. Been having those videos updated, the previous ones updated. Been getting a lot of traction on those videos. Subscribing is going up quite a bit because we are pushing out new content and getting really engaged with our people over the past few weeks. And want to encourage you guys, hit the subscribe button. If you like what you hear, hit the like button down below. But most of all, leave some comments. If you enjoy the conversation, you're getting a lot out of engaging with the videos or with myself as a coaching experience. I know we've got some people that I'm working with that watch these videos pretty regularly. Leave some comments. Let everybody else know the good things that we got going on. Don't forget to check out the website, determineddestiny.org. I've got some new blog posts on there that are really, really interesting and will open your eyes to a lot of things that are going on with our young men in our societies, within our systems, whether it's the school system, a juvenile system, the work system. You'll see that there's some patterns and some traits there that we've really got to teach our young men on how to overcome the obstacles that they face so that they can be more determined about their destiny. If you are a coach or a teacher or mentor and you want to get plugged in and work with your group as a whole, hey, just reach out to me and let me know that you are looking for some curriculum, some content to roll out with your group. And I'll be happy to talk with you about what that looks like for Determined Destiny. We've got these coaching cards that we've had made up. I thought I had one here with me, but I'll show one next video. We've got these coaching cards that we've got made up that makes it quick and easy for a coach, a mentor, a group to roll this out with your group so that all the content's already there. You can have some rich discussion with your group so that we can help our young men be more determined about their destiny. Hey, so today's video is going to be one that's encouraging and motivating and leading into 2023 because that's where we're at, right? Everyone is gearing up and getting themselves together, thinking about what the next year is going to hold for them. And so Determined Destiny, what we wanted to be able to do is lay out a plan and a pattern for our young men working into 2023. Last video was all about we want to be good at something. We want to teach our young men to be good at something. We want them to try multiple things and really find something that clicks with them, that they're happy about doing, that they can do regardless of how hard it is. And so this week we want to kind of piggyback on that message and talk a little bit more about what it takes once you have identified that you want to be good at something. And what is that something that you want to be good at? And if you remember from the last video, the thing that I encouraged was to be good at decision making. Be good at decision making. Because when you're good at decision making and you stack good decisions on top of each other, then you're more likely to have success and long-term success because of your good decision making. You get in a habit of making good decisions and good things will happen to you. So this week, what I want to talk about is kind of transforming that good decision making and that ability to be good at something into a more targeted approach and being good at focusing on a few things that will lead to success. And this week, I really want to talk about reading and the importance of reading and how leaders have to be readers. And so I want to encourage you to get your young men into reading and get your young men into reading something that's going to be good and productive for them. So I've got a couple of books that I want to kind of share that I read through this year. And I want to share these readings with you so that you can just get an idea of that process. So ideally, we should read a book a month, right? And that's minimal, just a book a month that helps you stay on pace. And if that's not your thing, you're not really into reading, then however long it takes you, sit down and set a goal around that and say, hey, I got this book, it's 100 plus pages. It's going to take me a month and a half, give myself 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, 20, 30 minutes a day of reading that book will get you through that. And that's what we want to teach our young men, to make time to grow yourself. And that's what that's all about, making time to grow yourself. Okay. We got to be passionate about some things. And if you can be passionate about reading, then you're going to accelerate your success, and your path to your destiny will be accelerated through the ability to read and take in information and learn from that information. So, the first book that I want to talk about is really one that's a little deep, okay? But I enjoyed it for a couple different reasons. So this one is called Mind Wide Open by Steven Johnson. Mind Wide Open by Steven Johnson. And I get my books from Half Price Books because, they're cheap, they're good books, and you can get several books for minimal cost. So this book, Mind Wide Open, is very deep. It's about the brain and how the brain works and the theories of the brain and the psychology of it and the physiology of it. And there's lots of components to this book. But what I really want to hone in on for our young men, and remember, I'm talking about being passionate about something, right? And so for our young men, in this particular book, Mind Wide Open, my takeaway was the importance of our young men feeling loved, and that emotion of love that comes with being in a relationship or having a relationship with an adult, an appropriate relationship, right? You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a mentor, a coach, a parent, a guardian, having that relationship that the kid trusts you. They trust what you tell them. They trust your word, and they feel that connection, that love that you have for them. They feel that, and they understand that the things that you tell them are there for their best interest. And what the book was talking about is the importance of the brain knowing that somebody really cares for me, and how that is important in the process of growing up and developing into a person that can be successful. It's important that our young men know. It's important for their brain development, for them to know that they have somebody that cares about them, that they have somebody that loves them at a deep level, and they have somebody that has a relationship with them that they can trust and they can count on when they need them most. So be willing to take the time to put your arms around your young man sometime and let him know that you love him. Be willing to just say those 3 words. And I know sometimes we always say, love you, love you, love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then it becomes like it doesn't have a whole lot of value. But according to this book, you'll be surprised at how if that gets into their brain and that's in their subconscious, that somebody loves me, somebody cares about me. Now, of course, your actions have to line up with those words, right? It can't just be you say those words, but yet you don't build the relationship. You don't give the time that it needs for that young man to understand that love is there, and then there's something behind those words, right? So that there's more to it's more than just the words. It's the actions that go with the words. But the importance of those words and those actions on the brain and the brain development that will cause them to be more positive and have a better attitude and have an understanding that they are worth something. That's what's really important for our young men, to be more determined about their destiny, to understand that they are worth something, they are valuable, that they mean something to others. So I really enjoyed this book in that area, more specifically because of the understanding that it came with for our young men. I mean, and I started out with this book and that conversation because everything starts with love, right? All success begins and ends with a matter of relationship and people caring about each other. And success is, what one deems success and somebody else may not. But, when you talk about what's success to me, it's because of the relationships and interactions with other people. That's what leads us to understand what success is all about. And so for our young men, I want to encourage you to let them know that you love them in a whole lot of ways. Your actions, your words, your encouragement, your patience, your willingness to listen to them. Those things, those are acts of love. Your willingness to let them just be themselves and vent and cry and experience the emotion that comes with you saying, I'm here for you. I will be here for you. And the brain development that goes with that is phenomenal. We'll be surprised at what it produces in our young men. And then the next book that I want to talk about, and by no means am I telling you to go out and get these books. I'm just telling you about some books that I've read through this year and that I want to encourage you to, as we move into 2023, get a series of books for our young men to read through so that they can grow themselves. Obviously age appropriate books, and you may have to read it with them and go over some chapters with them. And that's perfectly fine because that shows that the commitment is there. I need to take a drink of my coffee. Okay. The next book that I want to talk to you about is a book called Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. And I got this book from a leadership series that I was sitting in on. And some of the top agents or people with the San Antonio Spurs came and spoke to this group. And they gave us this book. And they gave us this book because it was really inspirational in the sense of leaders needing to have courage. And it got me to thinking about like how our young men really need to have courage. In today's times, if they're going to accomplish anything, you got to have courage, right? And so, in this book, it talks about nothing can be accomplished without courage. And nothing can be accomplished if you aren't willing to face your fears and push through some adversity and see the giant or see the mountain that's in front of you and be willing to put in the work to overcome that thing. So Courage is Calling is one that really stuck out to me because in today's society, we have so many people that back down when things get difficult. And this book is telling us how it's so important for us not to back down when things get difficult. And that's what I want to teach our young men, that things are going to get difficult, but you can't back down when things get difficult because you'll never accomplish anything that matters. If you get in a habit of backing down when things get difficult, you'll never be able to overcome obstacles and accomplish goals that you set for yourself. You'll never be able to take on a situation that you've got some fear about doing, but you're willing to face that fear head on and push through it because you want what's on the other side of that fear. I always talk about sports, right? And I talk about trying out for the team and there's some fear there because you're thinking there's some guys that's better than you. Or if you're on the team and it's time for you to run that last play and you're down 3 points and you're on the 2-yard line and you got to score a touchdown to win, or you got to kick that field goal to win, you've got to have the courage and the mindset, the mental strength to say, I can do this. I will be successful at this. You got to at least shoot the shot in order to get to the other side, which is success. So really want to encourage our young men to have courage and understand that without courage, you can't accomplish anything that's worth anything. You have to be courageous and lead yourself first, and then others will see that courage and be willing to follow if you're in that situation where leadership is calling you. But I want to encourage you, talk to our young men about being courageous, because I know there's times where they're going to just say, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And they don't want to talk about why they don't want to do it. But I'm telling you now, the reason they don't want to do it is because they're afraid. They're afraid of either the failure, they're afraid of the defeat, they're afraid of the rejection, they're afraid of something. And we have to be willing to help them face their fears and overcome those obstacles, because what's on the other side of that fear is courage and success. So be willing to have those conversations with our young men about being courageous. Right. Next book that I want to talk about is one that I've read before, and I read through it again a little bit this year because it's such a good book with a lot of fundamental principles in it that I use all the time. It's called The Four Disciplines of Execution. Now, this one is a little, it's a corporate book. It's an organization book, right? It's a book for adults in terms of reading the book itself. But the principles can be applied to anybody at any stage. Our young men, definitely. So in this book, The Four Disciplines of Execution, it talks about the four disciplines of what it really takes. And what I want to hone in on, and I love having this discussion with our young men, and I had a great discussion with a group of mentees that I was working with last week, and we were talking about goal setting and the importance of goal setting. And in the book, it talks about WIGs, wildly important goals, right? A WIG, W-I-G. And it talks about, like, when we have that wildly important goal and we have that in our mind, whatever that is, whether it's to get straight A's on a report card, whether it is to lose 10 pounds or make the football team or make the basketball team or make the band and first chair in band, or be selected to be in the theater play or on the step team, whatever it is you're going after, set a goal, a wildly important goal. And then it talks about having lead measures, the things that you're going to do in order to accomplish that goal, right? So if I want to make the play, if I want to get selected to be a part of the play that's coming up, let's say it's a Christmas play, and they started casting for that thing months ago, and you were trying to get into be the lead actor in that play. So then you need to be able to have some lead measures working up to that cast or that audition. So you're studying your lines, you're working on your memorization, and you're working on your inflection of voice and tone at different times, and you're presenting in front of others so that you get comfortable at being in front of an audience and talking in front of an audience, and whatever those lead measures are that leads up to that audition that prepares you for accomplishing that goal, right? So you've got to have some things that you're doing prior to that you can measure and that you can get better at, and then that will help you accomplish that goal, okay? And then it talks about being able to have a scoreboard that allows you to know if you're winning, if you're actually being successful at that thing. So let's say we take it a step further, and you made the school play, but you really want to be an actor and you really want to take that thing to the next level. And so then you start thinking about, okay, I want to get into some acting classes, or I really want to start doing more plays outside of school into our community theaters and that sort of thing. Whatever that is that you're after, then you start saying, okay, how many of these am I going to go for? And then you're keeping score on the ones that you get and the ones that you don't get. And why didn't I get those? What do I need to do to get better? And you're tracking your progress over time right? So it talks about having your lead measures and your lag measures and a scoreboard that allows you to track your success. And those lag measures are those conversations, those reflections that you do around whether you were successful or not and why or why not weren't you successful. If you were successful, what caused you to be successful? If you were not successful, what caused you to not be successful? Yeah, I know this one gets a little bit deep, but I really like this one because it's all centered around the goal setting. And if you really want to accomplish something, you have to have some lead measures in place. You've got to be able to measure your success with a scoreboard on whether you're working towards accomplishing that goal or not, and then have that reflection afterwards that lets you know what needs to be tweaked, what needs to get better in order for you to truly accomplish your long-term goals. That's what Determined Destiny is all about. We set some small goals in between, but long term, we've got to know that success is what we're after. Whatever success is, however you define it, it's up to you. But success is what you're after in the long term. And so you've got to have those measures in place that allows you to even set new goals along the way, right? So, I've been working, and I have accomplished a few goals, and now I want to set some other goals. So then you're going to set some more lead measures. What do I need to accomplish that? How am I going to measure my success at that? And then what type of reflection will I be doing after that? So the 4 Disciplines of Execution is a great, great book to really dig into if you're really thinking about being methodical about accomplishing some wildly important goals in life. And I know our young men really need to have that focus. And then we talk about this in a lot of our videos, that if we don't have a focus, a goal that we're working towards, then we're just really out there going in circles. We're just doing things on a whim. We are just, as people, come up with ideas, then, we tend to do things that others want us to do when we don't really want to do those things. But if we don't have goals set for ourselves, then that's what makes us more likely to do those kinds of things. And I want to discourage our young men from being pulled into things that are not really in the direction that they want to go. So that's why on 2 videos ago, you will have seen us working on a vision board. And on that vision board, what we did was we worked on the things that we wanted to have manifest in our life. Whether that was making a team, saving up some money, getting a job, learning how to relax and have peace in our mind, getting A's or B's or whatever it is academically we want to try to accomplish. We create that vision board. So then when things start to try to pull us away, and we are looking at that vision board every single day, and it's getting into our subconscious, then it makes it easy to say no to things that are not on my vision board. It makes it easy to say no to the distractions because they're not aligned with where I'm trying to go in life. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't seen that video, go back and take a look at that video on creating the vision board for 2023, because that's going to be an important one that will help our young men even implement the goal setting process in the 4 disciplines of execution. It will be very helpful for that as well. We don't want to be wandering, right? We don't want our young men to just be at the whim of friends or whoever has an idea that is not aligned with what they want to become. And the last book that I want to talk about that I had a chance to just kind of poke around in, I didn't read it from cover to cover. I'm still kind of working on pieces of it. What I do is I'll go to the front and I'll look in the table of contents, and then I'll find a couple of chapters that really speak to me. And then I'll read up on those chapters and take some notes and then really process those few chapters. And then if it really gets me interested, then I'll go back and then maybe read some other chapters that I didn't read. But this one right here is The Road to Financial Freedom. And this is by Barry Cameron. And this is a really good book. And I'll be transparent with you. It's written from a Christian pastor's view. Barry Cameron is a pastor, was a pastor here in the Dallas Metroplex area. He's since retired. But this book right here is packed with information that we need to be working on our young men with. And it's really about, you guys have heard of Dave Ramsey and how Dave Ramsey preaches the debt-free life, right? Well, Barry Cameron is along the same lines of that. And he talks about the road to financial freedom and the things that we need to do in order to have financial freedom. We gotta realize like the road that we're on and who's on that road with us and the path that we're going with that and what we're trying to accomplish with that. And one part of the book that I really like, it talks about signs, lines, and fines. There's signs on the road, there's lines that you need to stay in, and then there's fines if you break the law, right? And so the way that I was really applying this is for our young men, that there are signs when you're doing things right. And you see that and you realize that when you're on the path to your destiny, there's signs that are there that says to you, you're going in the right direction or you're going in the wrong direction. And you've got to pay attention to those signs. Because if you don't pay attention to those signs, then you end up somewhere that you did not intend to be. And now this book was talking about financially, and I love that conversation because not enough times do we have a conversation with our young men about their finances. You say, oh, they're too young, or they're going to learn about it, or they don't have any money really. Well, we got to teach them that, right? We got to teach them that early on so that when they do get in the situation where they're working a job consistently, or they're in college and they're trying to manage the little money that they have, or they're out of college and now they're working with a degree or a technical degree or whatever it is that they have, and they have their own job. We want them to be equipped with the knowledge and skills they need to manage that money successfully. So the signs are there, right, of whether you're doing things right or wrong. We just have to be aware enough to know that sign is speaking to us. We've got to be eyes wide open enough to know that sign is telling me I'm going in the right direction, or I shouldn't be going in this direction. Pay attention to that so that we can make the changes needed. And then, so that's signs. And then the lines, like you got to stay within the lines in life. Because if we don't stay within the lines in life, when you get out of the line, people honk at you, right? You have a tendency to bump into things, maybe other cars or guardrail or something like that when you're out of the lines. We have to encourage our young men to stay within the lines. That's knowing right or wrong, right? And we as adults have to be able to teach our young men right or wrong. And I'll pause there for just a second. And I pause there because it's very important that we not run through that conversation of us as adults teaching our young men right and wrong. I know when they get to a certain age, we think they should know these things. And so we stop having that conversation because we feel like they should know it. And then we don't really talk to them about it when they mess up. We got to take the time. I don't care if he's 16, 17, 18, 19. If he's messing up on some things, we've got to be patient enough and be willing to give the time to have that conversation to help them understand where the lines are in life. Because if they don't understand where the lines are and they get out of line too much, then they're going to have trouble. There's going to be danger. And especially when you talk about finances, right? The older they get into college and that sort of thing. And those credit cards start coming. Y'all know how it is. When you get to college, those credit card companies, it's like, sharks in the water. They just start sending you things. And if we don't teach our kids to live within their means, like, okay, if you're in college and you've got $200 or $300 coming in each month from scholarships or wherever it might be, and these kids nowadays, if you're an athlete, man, you could really be making some money, right? But you got to stay within the lines and live within your means, or else you're going to wreck into something. There will be an accident. There will be a fine that may come up later. And so then the book talks about that as well. If you get out of the lines too much, then you're going to have some fines that you have to pay. And I reckon that I make the connection with that, like debt or interest payments, or Dave Ramsey used the term stupid tax. When you do some things that are out of the lines, but you took the chance and you did it, now it's going to end up costing you more money. You're going to end up paying a fine of some sort. And, in the sense of the book, we talk about it being around money, but in life, it could be about time. It could be about energy. It could be about a relationship. It could be about lots of other things that if you get out of the lines, you're going to end up paying the fine. And we got to help our young men think through that and be willing to work within the lines. It's not always easy to do it 100% of the time, right? But we got to be mindful about the consequences of operating outside of the lines. And we got to help them stay within the lines. Something as simple as, you guys remember the story of, I think they were in California, these parents who manipulated the college system to get all of their kids into certain schools, right? So they started to play outside of the lines. They started to manipulate it because they had the money to be able to do that. And the embarrassment that came upon them and their kids when all of that came out just was not worth it. It was not worth it to those kids who are probably still suffering from that today. So, we've got to be mindful and help our kids understand that as they go through school, you can't cheat. That's playing outside of the lines. You can't cheat on things. I remember back in the day when I was at Kansas State, and when I was there, we'd have some guys that from one summer to the next, they looked a whole lot different because of the supplements and things that they were taking. And some of them legal, some of them questionable. I didn't get into that. But there was always conversation around, ooh, this guy might be doing something that is not right, playing outside of the lines. And there's always a fine for that, whether that's a health thing. And so I'm saying that to say, I want to encourage you athletes out there that are considering playing outside of the lines so that you can get that edge to not do that, because there's going to be a fine, and not necessarily a monetary fine, but possibly a health fine. There could be a risk to your health in doing something like that. So be mindful about that. Talk about cheating academically. That's playing outside of the line. There will be a fine for that once you get caught. So don't even take the chance on something like that. So, hey, I know this video has been helpful. I'm sure it's been productive for you. I really enjoyed sitting down and just kind of doing a quick little summary on the books that I've read over this year. And I want to encourage you, as we get ready to go into 23, to take some time to find some books to help our young men focus and get more determined about their destiny. I'm Dr. Phillips. I'm the guy that can help you help your young man be more determined about his destiny and get to that place that gives you some peace, that gives him some peace, so that success is experienced more often than failure is. That's what we want for our young men, so that they can be mentally strong because of the success they've been experiencing in life. I'm committed to your success. I'm committed to your young man's success. Determined destiny is who we are. Stay plugged in, and we'll see you again soon. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.